Greetings again. This is Bruce Armstrong and Betty Frick we're both volunteers with the Senior Computer Tech Center in Longmont, Colorado, associated with our local senior center. And this is a bunch of videos on the whole idea of how to do Google Docs. And so I'm going to share a screen here really quickly to show you where we are in this process and on our general outline. And so here we are, and we are going to be in this one here of editing documents. And I'm going to just show you how you can edit a document. Just here, I happen to be in Microsoft Word, and I'm going to show you how that I going to highlight something in yellow. And then when we get into Google Docs, I will do the same thing of how to edit the documents. So that's basically where we are. We went through creating a new document and editing documents. And by the way, there was a question in the last one that Betty asked about how to make a template that's not in the list. And we've been researching it, and it's a little bit complicated, and we'll probably put it into an advanced thing at some point in time if that's something that we can figure out. So
thanks, Bruce.
Yeah. And so we'll get on to getting into the actual editing of a document. I'm going to get into my screen here that has that, and I'm going to open up Google, go over here to my little 9 dots and going down to Google Docs. And I'm going to find a document here that it's one of their, it's actually one of their templates of a letter. And it's called, where is that thing? Letter example, here it is. Okay, so here's a letter example. And you've got all kinds of things on here. If you look, you've got some different fonts. This one happens to be, if you highlight it, it's bolded. You can see the bold, the B is highlighted. You can make it italics or not italics. You could underline it if you wanted to. There's various things you can do just right here from this part of it. Here's a place. Yeah.
What is the A on over there? It's underlining. Okay, I'm sorry.
That gets into the color and highlights. That's what we're just doing. See, if we want to go into highlight colors, it's a little different than Microsoft Word. It's got more colors. So here I can highlight my name in yellow.
Okay. Cool.
Fonts or text color, if I want to change it to say a dark blue, I can do that. I don't have anything fancy here. I do have one of them down here that is actually a hyperlink to an email address. And as you know, in things like Microsoft Word and in here, if you type in something betty.frick@email.com, it's going to understand that should be underlined, and it will automatically do that. And as you can see, if I highlight it, it says send a reply to that email address. So now let's get down into some of these things here. Here's a highlighting. Highlighting is a common thing to do. I like to also sometimes do something. Say if I had something here, and these are all the wonderful Latin things that they put in here for the example. I'm going to bold it first of all. Then this little number thing up here at the top, it's in the 11 font of Proxima. Now, just like Microsoft Word, you can use the little caret on the right of the font and go to any kind of font you want. Say I want Pacifico, which you can't even read. But you can make it bigger by doing the plus sign over here. You could do all kinds of stuff to it. You can also say, this is where it gets a little more complicated. We won't get into this in this short video, but you can actually define things that you want to call headings and titles and subtitles and things. If you're doing a document, say a big proposal or something like that, you'd say, okay, I want this to be a title, this to be a subtitle, and that sort of thing. And that sort of gives it the thing. Now, down below here, it's kind of an interesting thing. Here's 3 bullet points. Okay, if I highlight this and go to my bullet points over here, it's a bulleted list. You can use the down arrow and I can change that to whatever format I want. Say I wanted stars instead of those. Now, this is something Word doesn't have directly. You could do a checklist if you wanted.
Huh.
It will actually put a box there.
Sweet.
That's a little more difficult to do in Word than it is in Google Docs, but it's kind of a fun thing. Or if you want to number them, here's the numbering. And obviously, if you have it in numbering category and you want to put another one in there, it numbers it. But then the little tab key is really important. If you hit the tab key, it goes to the next level.
Cool.
So that's kind of stuff you can play around with when you're doing a lot of stuff like that.
So Bruce,
Now,
I have
here-
a question.
Sure.
So the audience may not know, but we're looking at our windows at snow right now. How do I get a nice picture like that, a green with green and so forth? How do I get that in there in a
Okay.
document?
Okay. That's where you come up to the main toolbar and
Okay.
you can say insert, and they call it an image.
Right.
Now, in Google Docs, you're working, as you may recall in a couple of sessions ago, you're working in the cloud.
Mhm.
You're not really working on your computer. So if you want a photo, there's some options. You can upload it from your computer, which we'll do in a minute.
Mhm.
You can upload it if you already have it on your Google Drive, it's there. Or if you use Google Photos, it may be in Google Photos.
Okay.
Or if you happen to have your camera connected to it or something. But let's upload one from the computer. And if I go to my pictures, and well, there's that one actually. Here's a picture. Open it. And all of a
yeah.
sudden it's in there.
Oh, I want to go there.
Okay, it's a beautiful, I forget the name of the town, but
Cotswold.
it's in the Cotswolds, and it's no cars. You have to park up at the top of the hill and walk down. So it's a really pretty place. But this, just like any photo thing, notice all the little squares around here.
Mhm.
You can go to the corner and
Mhm.
you can change the size. You can go to the side and make it smaller.
Mm.
You can also go up here into your top thing and say, I want to make this thing, where is it?
Order.
Where is the thing? Align. Oh, here we are. You have to hit the down arrow here. It's left aligned. I can center align it.
Mhm.
I can right align it.
Mhm.
Or, and this doesn't work except in text, is where you make it whatever, justified on both sides. But you can just add any picture you want.
Okay.
Now, another thing about pictures is image options. You have the capability of how text is dealt with around your picture.
Mhm.
So you can say in line with text, like if we did here, it would have, let's see here, wrap text, break text, behind text. that
Oh,
doesn't
yuck.
work. That doesn't work. Or in front of text, which would get rid of all your text. So there's all kinds of things you can do with a picture. Now, I find that if you find the right places in Microsoft Word or in Apple products, you can do the same things, but sometimes it's complicated. Here's some things. Here's the This one is I'm going to close this little window over here. It is in the, where's my alignment? This one is in the centered alignment. Here's the
Here.
justified.
Mhm.
Now that can be really weird sometimes with, depends on the length of the actual words and puts more spaces sometimes.
And it makes it harder for the reader to read because their eyes go to the spaces instead of
Yes.
moving on to the next word.
That's a good point. Good point. So I do have on here, obviously you can do paging.
How do you do that, Bruce?
Paging? Well,
Yeah, how do you tell paging? I mean,
well, I have to go into the insert. again,
insert. Okay.
and I think it is in headers and footers.
Okay.
And I go to footer
Got it.
and it lets me go in there and I have options, footer format, page numbers, and remove footer.
Okay.
And I can put in whatever kind of footer I want.
Sure.
So now I'm going to go back to the main thing. You can actually kind of, if you've ever done any real estate or legal documents recently, they have signature things and they put them in there sometimes. It's like you really wrote really pretty like that. But anyway, those are some things. Those are some basic editing things. Let me see if there's any others that I want to address that are the simple things. We got highlight colors and we got text colors. We got different fonts. This is the one where you can pick titles or whatever. This is a zoom function. It's just in how big you want it to look on the screen.
Okay.
So if you're bad of sight or whatever, it might be helpful. Over here is an insert a link. That's if you want to insert a website or something like that, and it will put it in the typical blue with the underline on it. Insert an image is also up here. You can edit them actually. If you have multiple people doing things and you save and share this thing, which we can get to in more advanced stuff, that if you're sharing with other coworkers or compatriots, that you can actually request comments and the comments can be put into there. You can change the line and paragraph spacing. That's something that's common for people to do in a document. We talked about aligns and checklists and bullets and numbering, and then there's always the more thing, which you can decrease or increase indents. Now, I use the tab key a lot just to do that, but that's another way you can do stuff. And what's this last one? Clear formatting, which, okay, that's kind of it in edit. Can you think of any other comments that you may, or questions you might have on the simple part of editing?
It's actually a more general question I probably should have asked in the last video. So this is stored in the cloud and we don't own it, right? I mean, yeah.
Basically, it's your little rental property in the cloud.
Okay. If I wanted to bring it over to my computer, it's probably an advanced class we can talk about, but if I wanted to store it or save it on my own computer, that's a whole different process, right?
Well, it's pretty simple. You just, if you see the things up here on the top, which we really didn't get to do, file.
Yep.
And number one, I can share it with someone else.
Okay.
But here I can also download it.
Got it.
And what your choice are, you don't download it in Google Docs format, but you can download it in Microsoft Word.
Okay.
You open document format, which is something LibreOffice uses. It's rich text format is just a text format. Anybody, you can download it as a PDF, plain text, or some of the more advanced stuff.
Okay.
So that's how you that's when I trade stuff around, you either share it. Well, okay.
Where'd that go?
Back, share it, or you download it.
Okay.
Now you can also, this is for your own purposes, you can make available offline.
Okay.
Which if you're sitting in a hotel or an airport and you don't want to use the public Wi-Fi or whatever, you can make your document available to you offline. which essentially downloads it to your computer in Google Docs format.
Okay.
And version history, that's a good thing. You know, I have a whole video out there that goes through all of these different things and what stuff you can do. It's a lot longer. So
Thank you, Bruce.
what other questions? Anything?
No, that's it. You hit it. You nailed it all.
Okay, well, now we know how to edit a document. So thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you later.